on how to make these pants, and I just wanted to walk you guys through the measurements that you're going to be needing before we get into the tutorial itself. But yeah, so first thing first, you're going to need your low waist measurement. So mine would be like right below where my pants are sitting. So right here would be my low waist measurement. So you're going to need your tape measure, and you're going to measure your low waist measurement. So that would be right about here for me. That's the measurement you're going to need to start off your pants. You're going to need your hip measurement. So about the widest part of your hips, you're going to need that measurement. And then you're going to need the length of your pants. So wherever you want your pants to sit to where you want your pants to stop, which mine is around my lowest measurement mark to about my knee, like just like right to my knee or just below my knee. That's the measurement you're going to need. So how long you want your pants to be, you're going to need that length. Next, you're going to need basically wherever you want your pant to stop. So mine is like right on my knee basically. So I'm going to need my knee width measurement. So around my knee, I need that width measurement. So my knee width measurement, you're going to need. So wherever you want your pants to stop. So if you're going to make your pants a bit longer and it goes like right on your calf, you're going to need your calf measurement. So just the width of wherever you want your pants to stop. So yeah, because these are like capris kind of pants, we're going to be decreasing to make it smaller. So you're going to need that measurement to know when to stop decreasing, essentially. So yeah, so your low waist measurement, your hip measurement, your pant length measurement, and wherever you want your pants to stop, the width of that measurement. What else? Next up, you're going to need your natural waist. So from your natural waist, so you want to like figure out where your natural waist is, and you're going to start measuring from there, your natural waist to the widest part of your hip. So you're going to find the widest part of your hip. So from your natural waist to the widest part of your hip, you're going to need that measurement. Mine is about 10 inches. Yeah, mine is about 10 inches. So your natural waist to the widest part of your hip, you're going to take that length measurement. And I think that's all the measurement we're going to need to make this pants. So yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so to begin, I'm using this. I love this cotton, and I got this yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's a weight 4. So to begin, you're going to make a slip knot. You're going to make a chain that's long enough to reach your low waist measurement, and you want to make sure that you're chaining in a multiple of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have chained the amount that I need. I chained about 110. That's long enough to reach my low waist measurement. So now you're going to straighten out your yarn. You're just going to make sure your chain is straight. So just go through. You don't want it to be twisted or anything, because then your work is going to be twisted. And you want to basically take the other end of your work, and then you're going to slip stitch. So if you're working in the chain, it would be the V stitch. If you're working into the V stitches, it would be on this side, but I'm working into the back bumps, so I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to slip stitch into that back bump like so, and slip stitch like so. So now we have connected our chain in the round. So what you're going to do now is chain 1. You're going to go back into that same stitch where you slip stitch, and you're going to make a single crochet. You're going to yarn over, you're going to go back into that same stitch, and you're going to make a double crochet. Now you're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. You're going to skip the next stitch, go into the very next stitch, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into that same stitch and make a double crochet. Skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. So repeat this until you get to the beginning of your row, and I'll show you guys how to end it. Okay, so I'm at the end of this row. So you should have one more stitch left, and you're going to skip that stitch. Insert your hook into the first single crochet that you made, and you're going to slip stitch to end your row. Now for row 2, you're going to chain 1. You're going to turn your work. You're going to skip the first stitch, and you're going to go into the second stitch and make a single crochet. Yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. Like so. So for row 2, we're going to start increasing for our hip. So you want to lay your work straight. Make sure your back is facing you. So basically where you're slip stitching is where it's going to be considered your back, and this will be considered your front. So just place both sides together and lay it straight, because you're going to mark your 2 edges. So right here and right here. So you're going to need a stitch marker to mark those edges, because that's where we'll be doing our increases. So I have my 1 stitch marker right here, and okay, so I have a stitch marker right here and I have a stitch marker right here. So now we're just going to continue placing our stitches. So you're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. Skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. And you're going to repeat this until you get to where your stitch marker is. And I'll meet you guys back when I'm at my stitch marker and show you guys what to do. Okay, so now I'm almost at my stitch marker. I have 1 more stitch and then the stitch where my stitch marker is. So if you remember, we normally place 1 single crochet and 1 double crochet into the same stitch. So right now we have a double crochet stitch and a single crochet stitch. So to increase, you're going to place, normally we'll skip the double crochet stitch and work into the single crochet stitch, but we're going to go into that double crochet stitch and make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet, and then into the stitch where our stitch marker is, you're going to take the stitch marker out, go into that single crochet, make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. So basically that creates an increase, a Suzette stitch increase. So instead of skipping your double crochet and then working into your single crochet, you're working into the double crochet and into the single crochet. So that creates an increase. So just take your stitch marker back and put it into the second Suzette stitch that we worked, and then just keep going. Skip the next stitch, go into the single crochet, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into that same stitch and make a double crochet. So just continue back down until you get to your next stitch marker. Okay, so at my stitch marker again, and this time the stitch marker is in the double crochet stitch, and then there's the single crochet stitch. So you're just going to remove your stitch marker, and then you're going to go into that double crochet stitch and make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. Go into the single crochet stitch, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. And we've made an increase. So just take your stitch marker back and put it back into that stitch. Keep going back down until you get to the end where we slip stitch. Okay, now at the end of my row, I'm just going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that we made, and that ends my row 2. So now you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to skip the next stitch, going to the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. Skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. So you're going to, this row we're not increasing, so we're just going to repeat the same thing until we get to the beginning of our row. So no increases on this row. So just keep going all the way around. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys what to do when you get to the part where you increased on the previous row. So you're just going to go into the 2 scissor stitches that you increased, just skip, you're going to skip the double crochet and go into the single crochet, and you're going to make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet, and then you're going to skip the next double crochet, go into the single crochet, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. So you're basically just continuing the same thing all the way around until you get to the end. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row. I'm just going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that we made to end the row, like so. So now this row that we're about to work on, we're going to be increasing. So you're going to be alternating. You're going to do an increase and then a row of no increase, an increase, a row of no increase until this width reaches your hip measurement. So you're going to keep alternating until this reaches your hip measurement. So this row that we're about to work on is going to be a row of increase. So you're going to skip your first stitch. You're going to skip your first stitch and you're going to go into the next and make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet, and repeat this until you get to your stitch marker. Okay, so I'm at my stitch marker now, and the stitch marker is basically in the double crochet, so I'm just going to remove that stitch marker, go into that stitch, make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. Go into the single crochet stitch, make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. And that's our increase. And then you're just going to continue as normal, skipping one stitch, go into the next and make a single crochet, and then go back into the same stitch with a double crochet. You're going to continue this until you get to your next stitch marker to make your increase. Okay, so I'm at my next stitch marker. I'm going to remove the stitch marker, go into that double crochet, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet, go into the single crochet, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet, and that increase is done. So now I'm just going to skip the next stitch, go into the next, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. So I'm just going to continue this until I get to the end of my row. Again, once you get to the end of your row, you're going to slip stitch in the first single crochet that you made, and you're just going to alternate repeating this. So now after this row, our next row will be a row of no increase, and just keep going back and forth while you're increasing to keep measuring so you know when to stop. Right now mine is at 17 inches. I'm going to keep increasing until I hit about 20 inches. Half of my hip measurement is 20 inches. So I'm going to keep increasing until I hit this 20-inch mark. So you want to divide your hip measurement into 2, and you're going to keep measuring as you increase until you hit that measurement, and then you're going to stop. And I'll be back once I have the width that I want and I've reached my hip measurement, and I'll be back to show you guys how to create the crotch for your leg holes. Okay, so once you have achieved the amount of rows that you want, now we are going to create the crotch so we can separate the pant leg holes. So now we have to basically divide this width into two, so your pant holes are like, your leg holes are like equal. So you want to count how many rows you have all around, and then you're going to divide that by 2 so you can have 2 equal leg holes. You're going to take a stitch marker and put it in that stitch where you slip stitch. You put it in that last stitch right there. So you're going to put your stitch marker, and then you're going to count all the way around and then back. So you're going to start with the stitch marker stitch, and then you'll be ending in the stitch that's behind that stitch marker. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for me, I have 136 stitches all the way around. So 136 divided by 2 is 68. So I want to make sure I have 68 stitches going around and 68 stitches on this side. So 68, I'm going to subtract 2 stitches from that. So that would be basically the middle stitches. So since we're not going to really count those, and then whatever stitch we have left is what we're going to count for the rest of the leg holes. So 68 minus 2 will be 66 stitches. So this is like my middle for the back of my pants, and then I need to figure out the middle for this point. So now I'm going to start counting from here. I'm not going to count the stitch where the stitch marker is coming from. I'm just going to start counting from the stitch right after this one, and then count all the way until I get to 66 before I get to where I'll place my other stitch marker to indicate the middle for the front part of the pant. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have counted 66 stitches. So the stitch right next to it, which would be the 67th stitch, is where I'm going to place my stitch marker. So that would indicate basically the middle. So now I'm going to count another 66. I'm not going to count the stitch with the stitch marker. So I'm going to count just to make sure that there's 66 stitches on the side as well. Okay, so I have counted and both my leg holes are equal. I have 66 on the side and 66 on the side. And then this will be 67 and 68. So now it's time to basically create our chain for our crotch. I normally chain from about 12 to 15. I will say chain and try it on and see how comfortable it is. If it's comfortable, then you leave it at that amount of chain. But if it's a bit too tight, you want to add more chain. So you're gonna have to like chain and then try it on and see how comfortable it is. So for me, I'm going to chain about 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is how long I'm going to make the crotch. So now I'm just going to connect to this side, like so. Now we have our crotch. So chain, connect it, make sure you pull up a long loop so you can try it on. Make sure it sits comfortable.
before we proceed. So if it's a bit too tight, adjust it. If it's too big and loose, adjust it. So for me, 15, I like 15. So now we're going to be working on one of the leg holes. So now you're going to chain one and you're going to start working on this leg hole. Chain one, and then this stitch right here, which will be the single crochet, you're going to make a single crochet right there. You're going to yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet. And if you want, you could put a stitch marker on that first single crochet stitch that you made, just so you know when you go all the way around, this is where you'll be ending. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to put a stitch marker right there in that single crochet. And now you're just going to continue your work as normal. You're going to skip the next stitch, which will be the double crochet, into the single crochet. You're going to make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. You're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next, single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. You're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over to the same stitch and make a double crochet. So you're going to repeat this all the way around, and then when we get to the chain, I'll show you guys what to do. I'm at the stitch marker before I hit my chain. I'm going to take that stitch marker out, and into that single crochet, I'm going to make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet like so. So now we'll be working on our chain, and as usual I'm going to be working into the back bumps, but you can work into the V-stitches if you're more comfortable with that. I'm going to skip the first stitch, and then into the next I'm going to make a single crochet right into that back bump. Now I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet, and that creates our Suzette stitch. And then I'm going to skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet, skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. So you're basically going to repeat this by skipping a stitch, go into the next and make a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. Skip the next, go into the next, single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. And then now I only have one stitch left, so I'm going to skip that stitch and into the single crochet right here where the stitch marker is, which would be the ending of our row. I'm just going to go into that and slip stitch like so. So that ends our first row for this leg. So now what you're going to do is chain one, turn your work, and you're going to skip the first stitch, go into the next, which will be the single crochet stitch, make a single crochet, yarn over into the same stitch and make a double crochet. And you can put the stitch marker back if you want to just keep reminding yourself where you started. I don't have a hard time knowing exactly where to end, but you can go ahead and use the stitch marker just to mark off that stitch, so you know when you go all the way around, this is where you're going to slip stitch. You're going to now skip the next stitch, go into the next and make a Suzette stitch. Skip the next, go into the next, a Suzette stitch. And you're basically going to repeat that all the way around until you get to the end of your row. So yeah, continue this until you get back to the end of your row, and I'll meet you guys back to show you guys what to do next. Okay, so I'm back at the end of my row. So I'm going to just place my hook into that first single crochet that I made, and I'm going to slip stitch to end my row like so. So we've done 2 rows for this leg hole, and this is basically what you're going to be continuing. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to do single Suzette stitches all the way around, and you want to do this until you have your natural waist to the widest part of your hip measurement, which mine was 10 inches. And for this part that I created, I subtracted about 4 inches from that measurement. So it was 10 inches from my natural waist to the widest part of my hip was 10 inches. So I subtracted 1, 2, 3, 4 inches from that for me to be able to make this. So because my pant is going to be low waisted, so that's like 4 inches below your natural waist. I'm going to keep doing this back and forth, doing Suzette stitch back and forth in the round until I hit this 10-inch mark. So make it a bit long for it to basically cover my bum area. So again, you just want to keep going until this is long enough to cover your butt area before we start decreasing for the caprice look, basically, because it's gonna get the leg hole is gonna get skinnier as it goes down. So you just want to keep adding, doing just regular rows, no increases, no decreases, just in the round, going back and forth by chaining 1, turning your work, and so on and so forth until you have this measurement or until you get to a length that you're satisfied with. So I would say once you have gone a bit far, try it on, see how you like it, see if it covers your bum. If it covers your bum, then you're good, and we can start the decreases for the caprice effect. But yeah, just keep going in the round. Once I've achieved the length that I want before I start decreasing, I will be back to show you guys what we're going to do next. Okay, so now I've gotten to the length that I want before we're going to start decreasing. So I have approximately 10 inches. So now we're going to start decreasing in order to shape the leg going down to like create the caprice look. Okay, so now what we're going to do is basically mark where we're going to be decreasing. And on each decrease row is just going to be 1 decrease made. So I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm going to mark where I'm going to place a decrease. So I'm just going to go into a random stitch. So you can put the stitch marker anywhere you feel like you want to start decreasing at. To start a decrease row, going to chain 1, turn your work like so, and you're going to just do as you would by creating your Suzette stitches. So you're going to go into the single crochet and make a Suzette stitch like so. Skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a Suzette stitch. So we're just doing what we would normally do until we get to this stitch marker where we're going to make a decrease, and I'll be back to show you guys how we're going to decrease. Okay, so I'm literally at my stitch marker now. So normally there's a stitch to the Suzette stitch. It's made up of like a double crochet stitch and a single crochet stitch. Okay, so to decrease, we have our stitch marker in this stitch right here. So we're going to basically skip as normal. We're going to skip the next stitch into the stitch where we have our stitch marker. Just take out that stitch marker. You're going to go into that stitch, yarn up and like so. You're going to go into that stitch, yarn over and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook. So normally we'll make a single crochet and then complete the Suzette stitch. We're not going to do that. We're trying to decrease. So you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to skip the next stitch that you would normally skip, and into the next single crochet you're going to place your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Now you're going to yarn over and finish making that Suzette stitch by making a double crochet into the same stitch, like so. And now you're just going to get your stitch marker and put it back into that decreased Suzette stitch. And now you're just going to continue back along until you get to the end of your row, and then slip stitch to end of your row. I'll meet you guys back to show you guys what to do next. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row. I'm just going to slip stitch at the top of that single crochet to finish off my row. Now you're going to chain 1, turn your work. And for this row, we're not increasing. It's just a normal row. So you're just going to create your Suzette stitches all the way around, just like a normal row. No increases and no decreases, just placing Suzette stitches. Keep doing this until you get to the end of your row. Slip stitch at the top of your single crochet, and I'll be back to create another increase row. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys. So this would be where we decreased, and on the previous row you're just going to go into that single crochet, take off your stitch marker, go into that single crochet and make a Suzette stitch, like so. Now you're just going to single crochet all the way around. Now let me put the stitch marker back. So just continue placing your Suzette stitches all the way around until you get to the end of your row. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the single crochet, like so. And now we're going to do another increase row. Chain 1, turn your work. So remember, we increased on this side, so I don't want to increase on this side anymore. So I'm just going to take that stitch marker out and just place it in another random stitch, just to like switch out the spot where I'm going to be decreasing, so it's not just constantly on one side and it creates a very obvious decrease look. I would just say, yeah, every time you're about to decrease, switch the spot where you decrease on your decrease rows. So this is basically what we're going to be doing. We're going to be decreasing on one row, and then the next row we don't decrease. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys one more time. Now you're going to already chain 1 and turn my work. So now you're just going to place your Suzette stitches. Place your Suzette stitches until you get to your stitch marker where you're going to be doing a decrease. Okay, so I'm back almost at my stitch marker. So now to create a decrease, you're going to take that stitch marker off, go into the single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to go into, skip the next stitch, go into the next single crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over, go into that same stitch and make a double crochet to make a Suzette stitch. And now just place your stitch marker back into that single crochet stitch. And just continue placing your Suzette stitches all the way around. And then slip stitch at the top of your single crochet to finish off your row. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row. I'm just going to slip stitch at the top of my single crochet, and then to end off my row. Now we're going to chain 1, and now this row is not going to be a decrease. It's just going to be a regular row. So no decreases or increases, just a regular row all the way around until you get to the end of your row. So this is basically what I'm going to be repeating to basically cinch the pant leg to form basically a caprice look. I'm going to be decreasing until I have my knee circumference measurement. Once I have that, then I'm going to stop decreasing, and if I'm not at the length that I want yet, I'm just going to do regular rows of just Suzette stitch until I achieve the length that I want. I'll be back once I'm done decreasing to show you guys what to do next. So just continue decreasing until you get to half of your knee measurement, basically. So my knee circumference is about 15 inches. So if I divide that by 2, that's about 7.5 inches. So I want to make sure this pant hole is about 7.5 inches. So this is how much I want to take out, basically decrease. This is how much I want to decrease. So I'm going to keep decreasing until I have this pant hole about 7.5 inches. So whatever your knee circumference is, you're going to divide that by 2, and then whatever number you have, that's how basically narrow you want your pant hole to be. I hope that makes sense, but I'll be back once I'm done decreasing to show you guys what to do next. Okay, so as you guys can see, my leg hole got smaller. As I said, you're going to keep going until you have your knee width measurement. So now I'm not decreasing anymore. And for reference, I decreased for about 16 rows, and then I did 16 rows of normal rows, and 16 rows of decreases. So in total, I did about 32 rows to get to my knee width measurement. I want my pants to be 20 inches long, which it is right now. So I am going to stop right here. But if you've done your decrease and this part fits your knee perfectly, but you're not at the length that you want it to be, you're not going to decrease anymore. You're just going to do regular rows of Suzette stitch until your pant is long enough to where you want it to stop. So since I already have the length that I want, which is 20 inches, I'm just going to already slip stitch at the beginning of my single crochet. So I'm just going to fasten off because I'm done with this pant leg. Like so, and I'm done with this pant leg. So exactly what we did with this pant leg, we're going to repeat it on this side to make the next pant leg. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically attach. So you're going to turn your pants like this, and you're going to attach somewhere here. Going to take your yarn and you're going to attach it into that single crochet stitch. And you're going to yarn over and pull through that stitch, that loop. Now you're going to go into that same stitch and make a single crochet, yarn over, go into the same stitch and make a double crochet like so. So make a Suzette stitch into that same stitch. Make a Suzette stitch. So now you're going to skip the next stitch, which is the double crochet, and you're going to go into the next stitch, which is the single crochet. You're going to make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. You're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next, make a single crochet, yarn over and make a double crochet. Okay, so you're going to continue working your round all the way until you get back to the beginning of your stitch, and you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that you made. So I'll meet you guys back when I'm done with this round. Okay, so we've made it to the crotch area of the pants. I just wanted to show you guys what I did here. So the crotch area, these were the Suzette stitches that we created for this pant leg. So now, you're going to basically go into the Suzette stitch right here. There's a stitch right there that you're gonna place your hook into. Going to yarn over and pull through into that stitch. Make a single crochet, yarn over, go back into that stitch and make a double crochet. and there's a space right here. You're going to skip that space, and into this Suzette stitch right here, there's, if you place your hook, you will see, you basically see the space. You're going to place your hook into that space, make a single crochet, yarn over, and go back into the same stitch and make a double crochet. So you're going to be skipping the spaces in between each Suzette stitch, and you're going to go into each Suzette stitch. So when you place your hook, you will definitely see a space where you can put your hook into. So I just wanted to show you guys this part. Okay, so I've made my last Suzette stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first single crochet that I made, and I'm going to make a slip stitch like so to end my row. And that's the first round for this pant leg. So exactly what you did for this pant leg, you're going to repeat for this pant leg. So since you've done this pant leg, you can just take the video back and watch, basically repeat all the steps that we did for this leg for the other leg. And then yeah, I'll meet you guys back once I'm done with my second leg. Okay, so I'm done with both of my pant legs. Now we're going to work on the edging. So you can use the same color that you use for your pants if you want, or you can use a contrasting color. I'm going to be using this color to do the edging of my pant leg. So now to do the edging for your pant leg, you're going to basically attach the yarn. And you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. So you're going to go back into that same stitch to make a single crochet like so. So that counts as your first single crochet of the row. And then you're going to go into the next stitch, which will be this double crochet right here, and make a single crochet. Go into the next stitch, make a single crochet, and you're basically just going to place single crochet in each available stitch all the way around. All the way around until you get back to the beginning of your row. And you want to make sure your number of single crochets are a multiple of 4. So yeah, you want to make sure your single crochets are even number. You end with an even number. So if it's not an even number, you're probably going to need to like sneak in one single crochet into one of like the same stitch, so you can just have an even number. So you want to make sure it's a multiple of 4s. So I'm just going to place my single crochets all the way around. So I've basically placed my last single crochet, and I'm going to place my hook into the first single crochet that we made to make a slip stitch. Now you're going to chain 1, and you're going to go into the same stitch and make a single crochet, and you're going to go into every single stitch and make single crochets again all the way around until you get to the beginning of your row. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row. I'm going to insert my hook at the first single crochet that I made, and I'm going to make a slip stitch to end our row. Okay, so next you're going to chain 1, go into the same stitch and make a single crochet. And then you're going to yarn over, skip the next stitch, and make a shell into the next, which is 5 double crochets into the same stitch. Okay, now you're going to skip the next single crochet and you're going to shell in the very next single crochet. So 5 double crochets into the same stitch. Like so. You're going to skip the next stitch and you're going to single crochet into the next. That creates our second shell. So you're going to repeat this all the way around until you get to the end of your row. So just skip the next stitch, go into the next and make a shell. And then you're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next and make a single crochet. Skip the next, go into the next and make a shell. Going to skip the next stitch and make a single crochet into the very next. So I'll keep repeating this and I'll meet you guys back when I'm done with my row. I've made my last cluster for my shell. Now I'm going to skip this stitch and I'm going to slip stitch at the top of the first single crochet that we made right there. And just slip stitch to end your row, like so. And then you can go ahead and yarn over again. I like to yarn over twice and just end my row. And you are done with this leg. So you're basically going to repeat exactly what you did for this leg on this one. So I'll be back once I'm done with my other pant leg, and then I'll be back to show you guys what to do for the waist so we can make it fit. Okay, so I'm done with both my pant legs. So now we're going to work on the waist. So you're going to need an elastic like this, elastic thread. I don't know how they call it, but I think it's called shirring elastic. So if you go on Amazon, I'll be sure to link the exact one that I'm using on my Amazon storefront. But if you go on Amazon and type in shirring elastic or elastic thread, you should get something like this. You're going to need this. So to begin, you're going to make a slip knot like so with the elastic. Place your hook in there, tighten it. You're going to take your hook out. So now you're going to find the back of your shorts. So you're going to go to the back of your shorts. You're going to insert your hook and then come out on the other side like this. And then you're going to attach your, like so, and pull all the way through. And then you're going to pull the other side of the elastic like so to tighten it. You're going to yarn over and pull through. And now into this Z stitch, into this space right here, you're going to insert your hook. You're going to come out on the other side like this. And you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through. So basically what you're trying to do is there's like a string right here. You're going to basically try to catch that like that. So your hook is going like this and your hook needs to be underneath that loop. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through. So basically what it does is it allows your elastic to be on the inside of your pants, while on the outside of the pants it won't show. So the next one would be, so basically you're looking for this loop right here. You look for that loop, you're going to insert your hook like so, catch that loop, yarn over and pull through like that. So you're just looking for these loops in between. So if you pull this, you will see the loop right here. You pull up, you will see the loop. So you're just catching those loops all the way around to attach your elastic like so. Just basically follow exactly what I'm doing. So you're going to continue doing this all the way around to attach your elastic, like so. So basically what this does, it's going to pull your pants waist together so your pants will fit at the waist and it will be snug. And you're going around just catching those loops and pulling through like that. So just keep going all the way around and your elastic should be attached, but I'll be back to show you guys what mine looks like. Okay, so pant legs are done, elastic is into our pants, so your pants should be looking like this. Now you can be done right here and you have your pants all ready to go, but I'm going to add I'm sorry, I sound a little weird. I think I'm falling sick, but I'm going to add the same trim that I put at the bottom of my pant leg at the top of my waist as well, just to like add that little tiny detail. So but if you don't want to do that, again, you'll be done here. You already have your pants, your elastic is in, and your waist is cinched, so you should be good. But I am going to add the trim to the top of my pants as well. So now I'm just going to attach my yarn at the back of my pants like so. So you basically put in your hook straight through like that. You want to make sure your elastic on the inside of your pants is on top of your hook. So your hook is going under the stitch on the outside here and under the elastic on the inside. And then you're going to attach your yarn like so. Just make a knot. And then insert your hook right back into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. And into that same stitch, you're going to make one single crochet. Like so. And then now you're just going to go into every stitch. Make sure the elastic on the inside is on top of your hook. And you're going to yarn over and pull through and make a single crochet. So you're going to go into the Suzette stitches. There's a space right there that you're going to put your hook through. And you want to always make sure that your elastic on the inside is on top of your hook. Yarn over, pull through, and make a single crochet. And then into the space right here, there's always a space between each Suzette stitch. You're going to go into that space and make a single crochet. And then into the Suzette stitch. It's a bit tricky because the elastic is kind of in the way, but you just always want to make sure that the elastic makes it on top of your hook. And you're going to yarn over and pull through and make a single crochet. So you're just going to make single crochets all the way around your pants. Now when you get to the end, you're just going to slip stitch at the top of your the first single crochet you made, and then you should be done with the trim. On how to make the I-cords for your pants, I feel the easiest way is to use an I-cord knitting machine. I got this on Amazon as well. I will link this one that I got. But if you go on Amazon and type in an I-cord knitting machine, you will find some of these. It's the fastest way to make an I-cord, especially if you don't want to make it by hand. If you can, I would advise that you get an I-cord knitting machine. But if you don't have an I-cord knitting machine, I will show you guys an alternative. But it's going to be time consuming, so you're going to need time and you're going to need patience because you want to crochet this as long as you can to get the effect of what you're going for. As you can see, my I-cord is knitted in a different color, so it's different from the pants color and from my trim color. So but you can go ahead and use the same trim color to make your I-cord. It's up to you if you want to use 3 contrasting colors. that's fine as well. But you can use the same color as your pants or as your trim. It doesn't really matter. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a slip knot like so, and then you're going to chain 2 like so. You're going to go into the next stitch. You're going to pull up a loop, going to yarn over and pull through, take that loop out, yarn over and pull through the next loop, go into the same loop, yarn over and pull through, take your hook out of the first, yarn over and pull through the second, go back into the first loop, yarn over and pull through, take your hook out, yarn over and pull through the second loop, go back into the first loop, yarn over and pull through, take your hook out, yarn over and pull through the second, go back into the first, yarn over and pull through, take your hook out, yarn over and pull through the second, go back into the first, yarn over and pull through. So you're basically going to repeat this as long as you possibly can. This is an alternative to an I-cord. You're just going to repeat this motion by taking your hook out, yarning over and pulling through the second, going back into the first, yarning over and pulling through. So repeat this until you can get this cord as long as possible, Mine is really, really long. So yeah, just continue this motion until you have a very long I-cord, and you're going to need 2 of the I-cords to weave into your pants. So one is going to go weaved into the front, and then the other one will be weaved into the back. So I'm just going to show you guys what it will look like. So this is one of my I-cord that's weaved into the front. So if you guys see, this is the one I-cord. So it's weaved in. I started weaving it from the middle, weaved in, and then I stopped here, and then I weaved in the other one, and then I stopped here, and then the second I-cord is weaved into the back, and then it ends here and it ends here. So you need 2 of them where you can basically tie them on the side. So yeah, once you have your I-cord, just weave it into your pants like so, and you should have your pants all done. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you guys on another video. Bye.
Love, thought I did until I knew your heart.